Mars ain't the kind of place to raise your kids.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Sideways. You just caught me cleaning out the pipes a bit there, which is a bit of a coincidence because this week we're talking about Elton John, Rocket Man.
It's blowing a gale out there tonight.
It's pretty wild, isn't it?
Are you reading your notes?
Yeah, I am, yeah. You're recording me reading my notes.
Yeah. It doesn't make good radio, does it?
It doesn't make good radio. I'm just going through it so I can get myself straight before I start.
Shall I chat amongst myself?
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could go and cut some courgettes up. Listen to that wind.
I know, it's evil, isn't it?
Crazy.
Okay, I think I'm roughly in a position to tell. I had to wing it a little bit, I suppose. But
Did you feel rushed there?
I did. Yeah, I wasn't
Excellent.
taking it in at the end. I was just going through the motions. But I think I've got it.
Are you feeling under pressure?
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah, very much so.
That's probably good for you.
Actually, I did start to do my next one as well.
Well, don't worry about that now.
Oh, okay.
Right, so what are we talking about?
What I want to talk to you today about is Elton John.
Okay.
I don't want to just go into talking about Elton John because everyone knows about Elton John.
Are you going to liken yourself to
But
him?
no, I'm not particularly. Apart from the fact he's a fellow addict.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff came up on his interview. I don't know if you saw it on television with Graham Norton.
I didn't.
And there's a lot of stuff come up on there because he was being quite open about his battle with addiction. And so I thought that I'll just go through some of those bits and pieces because I related to a lot of it, and I'm sure that the people that have addiction problems that are going to listen to this will be able to relate to it as well.
Okay.
So I thought,
You can't, it sounds like you don't really need me here today.
no, well, please feel free to fill in when you feel necessary.
I'd perhaps do a couple of choruses.
I'm happier on my own, but if you want to spoil this one, yeah, feel free. Mate. Feel free.
Won't even know I'm here.
Actually, what's Elton John's real name then? Just
Reg Dwight.
Reg Dwight. What's his middle name? What was his?
I don't know. Colin?
Reginald Kenneth Dwight.
Kenneth, that was my dad's name.
Your dad's name, yes.
Yeah, well, which is interesting because my dad was completely teetotal.
Was he?
Yeah.
I never knew that. Obviously, I knew your father for many years, but I didn't know that he was a teetotal.
Never imbibed at all.
From day one?
Well, I don't know if he ever had in the past, but I don't ever remember him drinking. So he's very different from Elton John. And my brother also teetotal.
He's teetotal. And you are as well.
Well, I'm not teetotal, am I?
Close to, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a struggle to finish a bottle of beer these days.
Yeah.
Which is very different from the way I used to be.
Very much so, yeah. I remember those days well. I just sort of carried on from that starting point we had.
You didn't really grow up, did you? Like Peter Pan.
But unlike your dad, I'm sure your dad didn't change his name, did he?
Not
to Elton John, right? But
as far as I'm aware,
Elton John had he gave himself a new middle name as well. Do you know what that one was, or is?
No,
it's Elton Hercules John.
Why Hercules?
Yeah, Hercules. Well, it's named after the.
I can't think of anyone who's less like Hercules.
Well, no, it's named after the horse in Steptoe and Son.
You dirty old man.
That's true. I thought it came up when I was just researching this.
I can see you've done a thorough job.
I have, I think so. But I think what was interesting about that Elton John interview was that he said that it was, considering where he's come from and how much global success, I mean, he's known throughout the world now, but he said there's three major events that really shaped him and continues to shape him. The first was meeting Bernie Taupin, who we all know was a great lyricist. He's a lyricist and a great collaborator on all of his greatest hits, really. The second point, and this wasn't in any particular order, but there was another point he said was meeting his husband, David Furnish.
Right.
Which gave him great joy. And the third point he mentioned was getting sober. So considering everything that's happened to Elton John, he ranks getting sober that highly. Wow. And I can vouch for that. It was a major impact upon my life. And
surely, as I said, I didn't see the interview, so I don't know what he said, but I would imagine that getting sober gives you the ability to see life in a way that hitherto you haven't been able to.
Totally, and I suspect that getting sober enabled him to look back upon his life and see those two momentous occasions that happened, and put them in perspective, really.
Yeah. I expect he felt like you did, that he had lots of memories that were fuzzy.
Fuzzy, yeah, sure.
I expect he and David Furnish regard them as his lost years, don't they?
Well, as I do mine, yeah, very much so. But actually, there was one thing he did forget to mention, which I think should have made certainly his top five.
Yeah.
The fact he used to be a musician on those old Top of the Pops records. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Remember those, which were really, really bad cover versions.
Yeah, you always used to buy the Top of the Pops album thinking, this is fantastic, it's like 50p, and it's got all the greatest hits on it, and you listen to them, they're absolutely terrible.
They're absolutely crap. But he started off on there, and it's he mentioned that very briefly. He sort of skipped over it.
Understandably.
It's outrageous.
Yeah, I remember I had one of those Top of the Pops records, and it had The Laughing Gnome on it. It was possibly the worst cover version you've ever heard.
Well, the original was pretty crap anyway,
exactly,
wasn't it?
Yeah. It's how you can make a terrible song even worse.
Even worse. Well, I mean, I think he's, Elton John, hats off to him. He's 29 years sober now. And, he said that he'd spent 16 years on hard drugs and drinking. So 16 years is quite a long time.
Yeah,
it's quite a long time to be flat out on it, and then turn it around. What he did mention, actually, which sort of dates it a little bit, was that he used to get involved in speed drinking, and I relate to this. I relate to the speed drinking aspect, where when you first, I used to find when I first got up in the morning, or at some point when the cravings came along, you'd speed drink. You'd speed drink a lot. Quickly, just to get it, because you need it in your system to stop the shakes and stop the sweats, etc. But he mentioned that he drank 6 martinis in half an hour.
Wow.
I mean, no one drinks martini anymore, do they? That's what struck me. It wasn't the amount that he drank. I thought it was pretty normal. But
was it Martini Rosso?
He didn't go into any.
Or Bianco.
He didn't go into.
I'd have preferred Bianco myself.
I can't remember the difference between the two. I know they're both pretty foul.
Was
it red and white?
Was there a Martini Bianco?
I don't know. It makes sense.
Or was it Cinzano Bianco?
Cinzano Bianco.
They're all the same. They're all vermouth, aren't they?
Yeah. But
it's quite unusual, isn't it, to have an alcoholic's favoured tipple to be vermouth.
Which is why it ages it somewhat, because as we know, the discerning alcoholic in today's
vodka.
It's vodka.
Yeah,
we all
it's like getting hammered on baby sham.
It is really, but he went from that on to a bottle and a half up to 2 bottles of whiskey a day. So he still had a bit of a taste for some of the single malts and that sort of thing, but he obviously
drank good whiskey, did he? Drank a bottle and a half of good whiskey.
Yes, he did. Well, he had the resources to do that.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
which we know that having money is a great enabler. But he also it still enables him. He still refers to his shopping sprees as an addiction.
Yeah, well, they are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Hasn't he got a great fondness for fresh flowers?
Yeah. I think he spends 40 to 50 grand at a time, doesn't he?
On flowers.
On flowers, yeah.
Which
is quite a lot.
That is quite a lot.
But he does have the financial backup to do it. Yeah, it does. It's regarding the the whiskey and that sort of thing. It's always used to remind me as a child. My dad's the cabinet, the cocktail cabinet, and in there would be there'd be all these different drinks that I'd never really heard of. And they would stay there from year on year on year, and they would just go off eventually. They used to get so old. But it reminded me that there's someone that came into group the other day, and it reminded me of something. I didn't actually get involved in it, but I've heard it a lot. Is where the drinks cupboards get raided. Okay, so often happens when you are, you're an alcoholic, you're in need of a drink. You're either in your own house and there's your partner.
Yeah.
You're hiding it from your partner, so you raid the drinks cabinet.
Yeah.
Or I used to, perhaps if I was at someone's house, I would perhaps sneak one. If I was out working somewhere, for example, I would probably. I don't think I nicked any of yours, mate. So don't look at me like that.
I don't think I ever had a drinks cabinet.
No, you're probably not. You hid it away.
How would you do that? How would you do that?
Well, it's. I think you do become quite resourceful, because you've had a lot of people come in and into groups and tell us that they've drunk a lot of the vodka or the gin and replace it with water.
Right.
Okay. So they'd take all the gin out and put water in the bottle.
Yeah.
Or they would just drink some of it out and top that up with water, but it meant the next drink then wasn't going to be as nice for them. And then eventually, it would come to light normally when their partner or someone else would picked it up and poured themselves out a drink, and it would just be watery. But someone took it up to another level the other day, and this was just last week. Someone came in and she said that she used to drink most of the red wine out of a bottle.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah. She'd pour it all out and she'd drink that, and then she'd replace that with water with food colouring in it. So she took it.
She's really trying hard.
It's an absolute science. She used to get it just about right, the right colouring, and pop the cork back in and put it all back in the cupboard. And again she got caught because someone poured one out at another time. It just tasted of logic really.
Well, that's mental, because in a green bottle you can't even see the colour of the
you can't.
liquid anyway.
No. There's no real logic to it, but you feel better in yourself if you replace it. Yeah, I know.
Is that right?
You can. Yeah, but I know you're laughing. But
no, that's fine. I was just thinking of, we used to have a drinks cabinet at home when I was growing up, and I'd say probably once a year when I was a kid, when I was in the house on my own, I used to have a little route through the drinks cabinet, have a little taste of everything.
Yeah, I did that as well.
Nothing much tasted very nice. About the only thing I can remember having a scant fondness for was a sweet sherry.
Well, I remember going through the apricot and cherry brandy as a kid.
Oh yeah,
There's always
cherry brandy.
That was always there, wasn't it?
Cherry brandy, yeah.
I wonder if they're still in people's cabinets these days. I rather doubt it.
I expect it is.
Anyway, should we get back onto Elton John? Because I remember I did go and see Elton John at Leeds Castle several years ago. I was still married, and we went up there. It was a corporate event, so we were being entertained, and we went up to the Leeds Castle there. And I remember it was outside. It was a lovely evening, and all in rows of chairs. And I was really only interested in getting a chair that was close to the bar, the outside. That had outside bars scattered around the grounds, and I found that as long as I was near to one of those, I could slide off and have a few drinks. And so even at that point, then, even though I wasn't fully blown into my addiction, it was still a big part of my life. And I remember the concert being reasonable, but I think it took the edge away because I wasn't able to get enough drink, really, so I couldn't fully enjoy it.
Yeah, you couldn't really lose yourself to the music.
No, I couldn't, and I think it's a shame, really, because obviously he's a bit of an icon, isn't he? And,
but in a way, it's kind of symptomatic of the whole condition, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because, you couldn't fully experience the Elton John phenomenon.
No.
But that's a kind of microcosm of how your life is when you're pickled all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
You can't really enjoy anything properly, can you?
No, you can't.
You're not really in it.
No, you can't. But I remember that, and I remember again going back to the Graham Norton interview. He was saying that he got to the point 29 years ago when he was suffering from bulimia and he was taking an excess of drugs and drink, and he said he got to the point he just had enough.
Yeah.
And I think we all get to that point eventually. You speak to any alcoholic, any addict going into recovery, you just get to that point where you're fed up with being fed up and you just had enough. But he said the big turning point for him was asking for help.
Yeah.
And I remember that, how desperate I was not to ask for help because I wanted to maintain the position I was in. But once I did, I found it really cathartic, and I've been able to ask for help for all sorts of things ever since.
Yeah, it must be.
I think it's broken down. I don't know if it's sort of machismo or something that I was really unhappy about doing, but I know as a child it was always drummed into me that you didn't cry.
Yeah.
If you hurt yourself, it wasn't manly.
Yeah.
And that sort of carried through with me, really. And so asking for help, for me, was an absolute sign of weakness. But now I can see it's a real strength.
Yeah, you've become an absolute nuisance now.
Okay. Ask help for everyone.
Forever asking for help.
I know, yeah. But
no, it absolutely is a strength. I think that's true. It's one of the things that stops people coming into therapy for any reason. The stigma attached to it, or the perceived stigma. They think, I should be able to sort this out on my own. I hear that a lot, and I hear from people often, I could, other people have got so much worse problems than I have.
Yeah.
And of course, pain is not comparable. Pain's pain. You don't have to compare it with anybody else. It is what it is, and so reaching that point where you feel able to ask for help, I think, is a great sign of strength.
Yeah, it is. It is, but I think it's quite interesting to talk about the comparable, because certainly I always used to try and find people that drank more than me, to convince myself I wasn't an alcoholic.
Yeah.
It became more and more difficult, that's for sure, as the time went by.
Yeah.
I didn't find anyone that was drinking as much as I was, but it was it's some of the madness you're going through. And I think that Elton John was saying about exactly the same thing. You know, you go through a turmoil of and denial of saying, no, I haven't got a problem. Yes, I have. No, I haven't. And he eventually, after he asked for help, he did what we always recommend in groups, is to take as much time out as possible away from your normal life, put everything else on hold and concentrate wholly and fully on your recovery.
It's been quite difficult for him.
Well, it was, but he had, the financial resources to just take a year out.
Yeah.
He took a year out and he went off to to rehab out in America. And he was able to get himself straight over that time. And I think that the people I know for a fact, the people that I talk to in groups, they don't change their lifestyle. They'll rush back to their job as soon as they possibly can. Yeah. Which, we all have financial constraints, and so it's not unusual. But they rush back, and it's almost a surefire way of not allocating enough time to recovery.
Yeah,
it's a surefire way of getting back to your old habits, especially if that job was in any way linked to you drinking and the reasons you took drugs, So
if there's a big social element to your work, and there's a constant opportunity to be drinking, to go back to that work too soon is a massive trigger, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it is. I know we've talked about it before about making holistic changes to your lifestyle, and it's really important. And he did exactly that.
I was just thinking, it must have been quite a shock for everyone else in group sessions when he went into rehab that Elton John sing there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But then I suppose because everybody in that room they'll all have something in common.
Yeah.
I guess that it's a great leveler, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's very much so.
Probably nobody asked him to, get on the piano. And
I suspect it would have been a while before he would have agreed to that. Certainly. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about his entourage that he had to leave behind for a year. Just
I suppose they stayed on the payroll.
Clicking their heels for it. Yeah, they probably did. Yeah. But I think that the point that he made again, which I found interesting, because he was at that position where he was going into early stages of recovery, and he really felt at that point that he was the only one. He was the only one with this condition before he asked for help.
Right.
And I remember feeling that as well. And again, it's something that is great about having a group to go to and sitting in groups with other people, is because it is this common bond, and you find out that there's loads of other people that have been acting in a really irrational way in a similar manner that you have.
Do you think that feeling that people have that they're the only one and that they're unique in some way and that nobody else is struggling in the way they are, or no one else is as shameful as they are, or whatever, do you think that's one of the things that prevents people from going into recovery? Because I'm kind of wondering, why is it that some people will get to the point where they say, actually, I've had enough now, I need some help, and other people never get there?
Shame is a big thing. Again, going back to that, not asking for help. Unless something happens where you have to ask for help, or you really convince yourself it is time to ask for help, you carry on. And inevitably you end up dying. Yeah. And so you do get to that crossroads where you do have to make a decision. You either ask for help or you throw the towel in, and it's a very painful, slow suicide at that point. So it's I found it that the time came as a result of a lot of different circumstances coming together. But so there isn't really one point. It's a slow drift into addiction, and it's a pretty slow drift out of it as well.
So that's quite an important observation, isn't it? Because what you're really saying there is there isn't a middle road. You either ask for help, or eventually it's going to kill you.
Totally.
Because you're not going to just climb out of it yourself, are you? Suddenly decide one day, actually, I'm going to stop now. The people that would be able to do that would be very few and far between.
Yeah, they would. I think the middle road that most people would see it would be going back being a social drinker, which we know. And a lot of people go into recovery thinking that's what they're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
It's very common. And when I went into recovery and went off to detox, I thought, well, I'll go to detox, I'll get sorted out, And, I'd better go back and just be a normal drinker again. And it wasn't...
Because you'd never been a normal drinker. So you couldn't go back to being a normal drinker, could you, really?
That's right. I mean, it's a misconception.
Yeah. I mean, what is a normal drinker?
From the outside looking in now, I'd say a normal drinker is probably someone like you who could have one now and again, a couple of drinks a week, or under the government limits, and that's pretty normal. Or sociable drinking. But I think another point that came up, which I related to, was that he now treats drink and drugs like he would do an ex, which is sort of strange because, as an addict, I grieved for my alcohol, and it was very much like a bereavement, and it's like losing a cherished girlfriend, which
is also kind of a bereavement.
It is, yeah, very much so. And he wrote a letter to his ex, and I did the same at the time when I was under the Choices programme with Kenwood Trust after I'd done my detox, the rehab and the community course, the 3-month course I was on. We did that in one of the programmes I was on, or one of the modules. We did actually write a letter to her ex, effectively, to drink and to drugs.
Oh, so it was a letter addressed to drink.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
dear vodka.
Yeah, it was really, and you let out all your anger and your pain, and you chat with it effectively, like you would write a letter to a girlfriend, bringing your relationship to a close.
Was there any? That's interesting. But were there any different rules? Because I'm thinking about, sometimes I ask people to write therapeutic letters, which are different in some kind of small but significant ways from the way that you might write a normal letter. Or were you just writing a letter as if, in the same way as you would write a letter to a person?
Yeah, we was writing it as if it's to a person, right. And it was bringing stuff to an end, really.
Yeah.
And so you're closing that relationship you had with drink and drugs.
Yeah.
But what we also did afterwards, we took it outside and we burnt it.
Yes. Yeah, because it's a letter that's never going to be sent.
Exactly. We put it into a pile and burnt it. And I remember there was a few of us we treated it as a bit of a laugh at the time, doing this, standing around this little bonfire, this incinerator, and we put our letters in. And off it went. It wasn't until afterwards I thought about the significance of it.
Yeah, can be very powerful, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And so I found it quite interesting that whether Elton John had done that under a programme where they said this is what you must do, or whether he just felt he needed to do it.
He probably got Bernie Taupin to write it.
He probably did, yeah. I reckon that would have been a nice... He could have if he'd have kept that rather than burn it or throw it away, it would have been a cracking song, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if Taupin was involved, it would be a definite number one. Also used this phrase, which I found was quite interesting. He said that early sobriety was like the hole in the donut. He said,
right.
Yeah. He said it's like it's like there's something missing out of your life.
Oh, okay.
There's a hole. There's an emptiness.
Yeah.
And that hole represented the drink and the drugs that were no longer part of the whole. I hadn't heard that before, but I found that quite an interesting analogy.
You see, I prefer a donut with a hole in it.
Yeah, well, you do really, don't you? But I suppose to me, I like a nice and full, pumped full of jam and cream and that sort of thing. Yeah, rather than that hole in the middle. I feel like I'm being shortchanged a little bit. But what he did, the analogy he was using, that was because he wanted to lead on to the point where he said he's now filling that hole up effectively by giving back. He set up the AIDS Foundation, and he helps fellow addicts in other areas as well. And it's exactly the same. We always encourage people when they start to get themselves straightened out to help run the groups.
Yeah.
To co-facilitate and leading on to facilitating, because you find at that point it does underpin your own recovery when you start to give back. It starts to give you a bit of self-worth, and your self-esteem starts to get a little bit boosted, and you're passing on the baton of recovery to those people following you. And I don't see it as a duty or a calling, but I certainly see it as something which is desirable for your own recovery as well as the person following you.
Yeah.
I would like to just sort of ending up here, really, but something which I know that you and I have discussed in the past, that Elton John did disclose that he keeps all his records and his CDs in pristine condition and in alphabetical order.
No, he didn't.
So thank you very much,
no, he
Elton.
Didn't. Did he really say that?
He did say that, yeah. Yeah, well, you watch the Graham Norton show.
Why are you bringing that up?
Because you always take the mickey out of me for doing that and say it's an obsessive behaviour.
It's obviously a addict's behaviour.
I think we did a bit of a straw poll on it, if I remember rightly, on Facebook at one time on exactly this issue.
Yeah.
And I think we found quite a lot of people
We could hardly say there was a statistical significance to that, could we?
Well, I took it as the people that do that are properly organised and
rather than recovering addicts.
But no, I'm saying that part and parcel of the same thing. Very much so.
Yeah, but you take it to its nth degree, don't you? I seem to remember when we were in Canterbury, we'd gone to see John Cooper Clarke. Do you remember when we were looking in that window of that shop and they had vinyl hanging up outside of its covers? You broke out into a cold sweat.
I was going to go home. I thought I'll leave the great JCC to one side. I'm off on my toes, mate. I'm home. Can't deal with this trauma. Anyway, I think I've probably
very interesting.
I think I've wrapped up Elton John. He's a good guy. He's a fellow addict, and if you're listening, Elton, give us a call, mate. We'll have a chat.
Yeah, I'll have to go and seek out that interview with Graham Norton. It sounds good.
It is. I recommend it.
Okay, so good. So maybe we should get the guitar out then. Do a couple of rounds of
a bit of Rocket Man.
Yeah, or Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Whatever you like. Well, I know you have a whole repertoire. I remember certainly I remember coming to watch you play. Just an acoustic set on your own songs. I think it might have even been in the Minstrel in Maidstone.
Yeah, probably.
And I think Rocket Man was on your...
I did certainly used to do Rocket Man.
It was on your set list then?
Yeah, I don't know if I did any other Elton John.
No, I think that's probably the only one. But it was a passable version.
Yeah, thanks.
It was better than the version of the Laughing Gnome that we talked about earlier on. I don't know if that's the right context to put it in.
Yeah, no, well, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah. All
right.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
See you next week.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work, visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter and you can email us with any comments or questions. And finally, we want to thank you for listening and ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, 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 'cause I'm a rocket man. Rocket man, burning down the fuse out here alone. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time.